What's happening, everybody? Willie here, good old wanna go fishing. So anyway, there I was at work, I'm driving down the road, and my stomach lets off one of those noises that reminds you of what 80% of your mouth is for. So I said, you know, what time is it? I said, man, it's lunchtime. I gotta get me something to eat. So as I'm coming out of this small town that we like to call Toanna, which is just outside of the colonial part of Williamsburg, but way out there on the edge, I'm passing down the road and I'm thinking to myself, there's a little store right there that I've been wanting to go in for quite some time. You know, I could probably just eat a candy bar and a bag of chips and have a bottle of water and I'd be okay for lunch, and I could walk in that little store right there and take a look at what they got. Well, it is a tackle shop. That's right, it is a tackle shop. And I was like, somebody told me, I don't remember how long ago it was, that there was a certain reel in a display case in there that I would probably be interested in, but it looked pretty rough. Now, we all know that looked pretty rough doesn't matter to me. Obviously doesn't matter to my wife either. Just saying. So I pulled on in the parking lot right there. I went inside and said hello to the nice gentleman behind the counter, and I told him what I was there for, and I looked around the store and he said, well, I got a cabinet over here that has just display stuff in it. It's only display stuff and it's just old antique-y kind of whatever. And I said, well, that's kind of what I'm looking for. And I walked up to the cabinet, and basically what I'm going to do right now is show you that video. I used my telephone. I had to use my cell phone to record. Once I seen what was in the cabinet, I said, I'm going to go back outside because I would like to get your establishment in this video. And he was just as happy as he could be about that. And I said, okay. And I went on back inside, and the video that you're about to watch, it's rather short, is basically the same thing I did. So you're going to be kind of following in my footsteps. That's not an easy thing to do. I'm telling you right now. It's not easy being Willie. I'll see you after the video. So I was working down the street from here and walked into this little fishing tackle building here. Fishing Pro Tech, they call it. And of course, you'll never guess what I found when I walked inside. So I'm going to walk inside and show you what I found, and then maybe work out something with the guy to purchase it. But this is what I found. And I am going to buy it. She looks a little worse for wear, but I've always said you always need parts. That's coming home with me. Hopefully we can save it. So anyway, there you go. Now, I'm going to show it to you. There it is, in all of its severely beat up and used glory. A Johnson Century 100B. And I'm going to think on this one, that B stands for beat up. Because it is. It's in rough shape. The button does not push, and I have told you on occasions that if the button doesn't push, you probably got an issue. The crank does not turn. So Here's the thing. I've also told you you always need parts. And you do, because I have a lot of these reels, and eventually something goes south on one, you're going to want to have something to be able to fix one of them with. But here's the thing. This is a complete reel. I took the cap off and everything. There's nothing missing that I can see. What we need to do is take this thing apart. Figure out why the button won't push and the crank won't turn. And as beat up as this thing is, I don't know that I have ever found a reel that deserved a second chance as much as this old fella right here does. Because I'm going to tell you right now, he's seen some things. There's screwdriver marks on the screws. You know, tells me someone's been in there. Kind of scary. So what I'm going to do is we're going to take him apart right here on the old table of contents. And we're going to see what his problem is. And we're going to cross our fingers and hope that we can breathe some life back in this old Johnson Century 100B. Are you with me? Good. Let's get on here. And let's get to tangling and untangling the issues with this particular reel. First off, let's get that cap off there. Now, as we can see, that spinner is crooked. And the reason that it's crooked is because the pin is not out on the spinner, the retrieval pin, and you can't turn it because it's locked into place to get it to spin to come down and be flat. So let's take that nut off of there. Hey, come back here. Put that in there. Take that spinner off, and there's definitely some goo down in there. We're going to have to take that to the sink. All of this is going to go to the sink and get taken apart and cleaned. Put that in there. Then we have our little slip pin that holds the spool on there. See that? Then we're going to pop our spool off of there. Oh, I see white powder coming out of there. Ew. Not pretty. It's not pretty. I can't even get that to slide off there. That really has to come off there. It's got to be cleaned, and I'm hoping that I don't break it. That center one's moving around a little bit. As you can see, the center one has the two. There's two right there. It's kind of like horns in there. I don't know if you can see them or not, but that goes in the center. So the drag is all the way in the off position. I'm going to leave the crank on for right now. And let's see if I can get this apart without breaking it. Things ain't looking good here. There may have to be some soaking involved. She ain't pretty, folks. She's not pretty. If we do get this one to come back to life, it'll really surprise me. Okay, remember, when you want to take the drag button off, you just grab the face here with the numbers. You lift and see how that screw all of a sudden goes recessed in there like a turtle's head. Then you can take that screw and undo it and take it apart. Hey! Well, spring is still springy. That's good. Alright, I guess at this point we'll go ahead and take these screws out and take a look inside the body and hope that we ain't terrified when we look in there and see what it is. Because she is definitely stuck. And somebody's been in it before because these screw heads have the old screwdriver twist on them. Well, I got to tell you, that's not as frightening as I thought it would be. But I'm just hoping those gears... It's probably going to be growly, I can tell you right now. She's probably going to have a growl. I would not be surprised. Button's okay though. It's just dirty. Oh no, the gear's rounded. Somebody's been messing around in here. Right there, I don't know if you can see it or not, but right there, that has been where somebody has been trying to get it to move, and they have kind of rounded the gears out. So we are most likely going to have some growling gears in here. That gear is, She's stuck. I don't care what anybody says, that is stuck right there. Alright, so I usually take, when this kind of thing happens, I use a plastic, like the handle of this screwdriver, and I'll just kind of, there's a little drag doodah came out of there. She's stuck. There she comes. And I do that because you got threads on that, and you don't want to mess the threads up. Man, she is in there, brothers and sisters. She is in there. Let's take this part here to the sink. Alright, I cleaned it up a bit, and what I'm going to try to do is get these white plastic pieces off here. They're moving now that I hit them with some really hot water. And there we go, they're actually trying to come off. That's cool. Okay, we're going to set them just like they came off. Alright, let's let that sit for just a minute. Let's try to get that gear out the bottom. That gear, I tell you now, that gear is in bad shape. Very, very bad shape. There we go. Come on out of there. Come on out. Don't you want to live again? Oh man, that's like glue. What is that mess? Somebody put some kind of grease on it, but it ain't pretty. That's nothing though that a Brillo pad, SOS pad can't take care of. Man, that gear is in bad shape. This thing's going to sound like a bad wheel bearing on the front of a tractor running about 30 miles an hour. But I got some junk that'll weaken this up, so we're going to go clean this up. Okay, been doing a lot of cleaning. I'm going to say that this is the worst reel that I have ever tried to bring back to life. This one was in pretty foul shape. So I'm having to look at some other parts here from an older reel that I have, which is actually a 110, not a 100, to try to figure out if I can make some replacements, one of which is going to be the crank. This is from a 110 and it's in better shape. There's also I can't tell if there's a washer missing. Yep, there is a washer missing. Okay, so I'm glad I checked that out because there is a very thin washer that was missing from the inside of the other reel. Like I said, there were some scars on the screws, which told me someone's been here before, Jim. So thank goodness we still have this washer that we can use in there. Spacer washer is what it is. The big thing is I'm going to check the two gears and see if this other gear from the 110 is the same as this gear that's in this 100, because it is in pretty bad shape. It looks like we have different teeth, so we may end up still having to use, yeah, we have a different gear ratio, so or just a different tooth count or something anyway. So we're going to have to use the old gear. So anyway, first thing I'm going to do is we're going to put the old gear, as much as I don't want to, because it does have a bad spot in it right there. I don't know if you can see it, but it's flat right there. And it's where it was stuck and people were trying to turn that crank to get it to move. They just flattened that gear out. So we will have a kind of thing going on. But that's alright. Where's my stuff? Where's my oil, my grease? Where's the, can anybody find, I say let's get this on here, because we definitely need that. We're going to put a little bit of this on here, put a little bit of that right there so it pushes it through. Put that right on through as such. Give that a spin. That get worked into the grooves and the funk and all that stuff. There are some places on here that are corroded where it's sat in that one position for a very, very, very long time. Now, will this crank from that 110 work on this? Yes, it will. I'm going to show you real quick why I am changing the crank handle, which is actually pretty neat because it's actually longer. If you can see that, it's actually longer. The 110 crank is a longer arm and got a little bit different bend to it too, so it's going to be a little stranger. But the part that you probably can't see, I'm going to try, is this hole. If you look at the hole, and I'm hoping maybe you can see it, it should be shaped like a D and it should be flat on the bottom side. But it's not. It's got a point in it because it has been pushed one side to the other so much that it actually wore the corners out. If you notice, this one is shaped like a D. I'm hoping you can see that. I don't know if you can or not, but and that's flat on the bottom side, and that's how it should be. So this one is just going to go in the old parts box just in case we ever break one or lose one or something like that. There we go. So that much of it is done. Let's set that to the side. Now we've got to go to the body. The body actually cleaned up pretty well. Rather surprised, honestly. And this has, being it's a B, it has a removable centerpiece. And there's one little scar on the top up there, but I think we're gonna be okay. There's just a little scar right up on the top up there. But we are going to go with that. Okay, first, this is your little clicking device, little copper bushing that goes right in there like that, and that's what you're going to hear clicking. Then we are going to, what I'm going to do is make it a little bit greasy, so when I put these other plastic particles back on here, it slides back over easy. These are your, I guess they're considered drag bushings or something thereof. That is my little brass drag lever. Then the fun part, getting the drag knob back on there. Sorry that you really can't see this part, but it's kind of hard to do this part, putting it up in the camera, because things could go flying everywhere, and sometimes do. Boy, that gear is not in good shape. I get the feeling this is going to be a noisy one. But it is what it is, people. We're saving its life. That's what we're doing. We're just a little bit of grease on there. Let me get that in there. It definitely doesn't. It doesn't click. The drag doesn't really make a very clicky sound. Clicker's kind of worn out. Put the hairpin in. You have to also be very careful when you're cleaning these, because the white paint that says what it is will very easily wash off. If you scrub too hard with a brush or a toothbrush or what have you, it will come off. I ain't kidding. Then we take our button and we put it in here as such. The button cleaned up fairly well. I'm not going to say it cleaned up great, but it cleaned up fairly well. And now this, come on, there we go. Somewhere I'm going to have to find another gear set for it. And it's funny, each one of these things that I work on, I notice different things. I notice, even though this is a 100B, and somebody's been in it before, obviously, but there's different screws. There's different nuts that hold like the crank arm on, and it's just funny the different things that you see, even though it's the same model reel. Well, she's working. She wasn't doing that before, so that's a plus. She's got some growl to her, but I mean, that's not rough. I could use that. I could fish with that easy. Let's run her in reverse here real quick. You can definitely tell a difference in the reverse, because this is the direction that no one ever goes, you know, unless you switch it to left hand, which I am not going to do because I'm not left-handed. But when you flip that switch around, you can hear it. Ain't no doubt about it. No two ways about it, ladies and gentlemen. You can hear it, but it's working. And she was frozen slam up when we got her. Let's try this out and get that on there. Here's that hole I was telling you about. This one has been pushed onto, and you can see that it's not quite shaped like a D anymore. You can hear that. I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to take it apart again, take this cover off, and I'm going to put some more grease in there so it can just, it's going to be a lot more than I normally do, but because that gear is just so messed up. So there you go, guys. We have brought it back to the land of the living. The next thing is to get it out there and go fishing. It does need a new gear set. She makes noise, but it does work, and we are going to take it fishing. That is a definite. That is a definite. But considering what it was like beforehand, yes, this is cool. This is very cool. You know, I love doing this stuff, and I love letting you guys see it, and I hope you enjoy it. Also, I would like to thank Lynn Bell. That is his name. Let me jot back here. Hopefully you can see it. Lynn is the gentleman that allowed me to buy this reel out of his display case. Lynn is a lot like me. He wants to see these things fish again, and that's the cool part, is taking them out there and letting them fish again. So if you get the chance, head up to Toanna, Virginia, visit Lynn Bell, check out his store, Protect Fishing. Check him out. I'm sure he'd love to see you. So check him out. Rods, reels, you name it, they're in there. Check him out. Thank you guys for watching. I very much appreciate it. And just remember, we'll see you on the next one, whatever the next one may be. Even though we kind of already know what the next one may be.